How racist do you think the average human is? How many people do you know that make subtle racist remarks without even realizing they did something wrong? Racism, sadly, is not new. It has plagued humanity for centuries, leaving a trail of pain, suffering, and injustice. To understand its current state, we must first journey back in time. Watch until the end for insights on spotting and dealing with racism. Its ugly origins intertwined with colonialism and slavery. European powers, driven by greed and a false sense of superiority, exploited and enslaved Africans. They created a narrative of racial hierarchy, justifying their actions with fabricated claims of white supremacy. This poisonous ideology spread, infecting societies worldwide. Racism became deeply embedded in laws, institutions, and cultural practices. Segregation, discrimination, and violence became the norm for people of color. This legacy of hate continues to cast a long shadow on our world. Challenging racism starts with exploring and understanding the systems that sustain it. It thrives on a toxic mix of power and prejudice. Throughout history, dominant groups have used racism to maintain their control over resources and opportunities. Culture plays a significant role in perpetuating racist attitudes. Stereotypes and prejudices, often passed down through generations, shape our perceptions of others. These harmful narratives contribute to unconscious bias and discrimination. Political systems have also been instrumental in institutionalizing racism. From discriminatory laws to biased policies, governments have played a role in creating and maintaining racial inequality. Furthermore, economic systems have often benefited from exploiting racial divisions. By limiting access to education, employment, and wealth for marginalized communities, they perpetuate cycles of poverty and disadvantage. While overt forms of racism are widely condemned, systemic racism persists, woven into the fabric of our societies. It operates subtly, often invisibly, but its impact is profound. We see it in disparities in healthcare, education, housing, and criminal justice. People of color are more likely to live in poverty, face unemployment, and experience police brutality. These inequalities are not accidental. They are the result of policies, practices, and beliefs that perpetuate racial disadvantage. Understanding systemic racism is crucial to dismantling these deeply rooted systems of oppression. Education is a powerful tool in the fight against racism. By teaching about the history of racism, its causes and its consequences, we can raise awareness and foster empathy. It is essential to teach young people about the contributions and experiences of people from all backgrounds. Inclusive curricula challenge stereotypes, broaden perspectives, and promote understanding. Education also equips individuals with the critical thinking skills to identify and challenge racist ideas. It empowers them to be allies and advocates for racial justice. However, education alone is not enough. We must also dismantle systemic barriers that limit access to quality education for marginalized communities. Throughout history, activists have played a vital role in challenging racism and demanding equality. From the civil rights movement to Black Lives Matter, courageous individuals and organizations have fought tirelessly for justice. Activism takes many forms, from peaceful protests and demonstrations to lobbying for policy changes and engaging in community organizing. By raising awareness, challenging injustice, and demanding accountability, activists create pressure for change. They give voice to the marginalized and inspire others to join the fight for equality. Social media has also emerged as a powerful tool for activism, allowing individuals to share their experiences, mobilize support, and hold institutions accountable. Racial bias in legal systems is a persistent problem that demands attention. From racial profiling to sentencing disparities, people of color often face harsher treatment within the justice system. Studies have shown that black and brown individuals are more likely to be stopped, searched, arrested, and incarcerated than their white counterparts, even for the same offenses. This bias is rooted in systemic racism and implicit bias, which can influence the decisions of law enforcement officers, prosecutors, judges, and juries. Addressing racial bias in the justice system requires comprehensive reforms, including police accountability, sentencing reform, and implicit bias training for all legal professionals. The media plays a significant role in shaping public perceptions of race and racism. From news coverage to entertainment, the media can either perpetuate harmful stereotypes or challenge them. Historically, the media has often reinforced racist narratives, portraying people of color in negative or limited roles. This has contributed to unconscious bias and prejudice. However, the media also has the power to promote positive change. By featuring diverse voices, challenging stereotypes, and accurately representing the experiences of marginalized communities, the media can help dismantle racism. It is crucial to hold the media accountable for responsible and equitable representation. Consumers can also demand diverse and inclusive content that reflects the richness of our world. While progress has been made in the fight against racism, significant challenges remain. Systemic racism is deeply entrenched, and dismantling it requires ongoing effort and vigilance. One of the biggest challenges is overcoming resistance to change. Those who benefit from the status quo often resist efforts to dismantle systems of oppression. Another challenge is addressing the intersectionality of racism with other forms of discrimination, such as sexism, homophobia, and religious intolerance. We must also acknowledge and address the ways in which racism manifests differently across cultures and contexts. Despite the challenges, there is hope for a future free from racism. By working together, we can create a more just and equitable world for all. This requires a multifaceted approach that includes education, activism, policy changes, and individual actions. It demands that we confront our own biases and challenge racism in all its forms. We must continue to educate ourselves and others about the history and impact of racism. We must support organizations and initiatives working to dismantle systemic racism. Most importantly, we must never give up hope. By working together, we can create a world where everyone is treated with dignity and respect, regardless of their race or ethnicity. Leave a comment on a negative experience you've gone through or a tip on how we can keep improving.